So I had a couple people reach out and ask about DrupalCon and what we were talking about. And Jeremiah Davis, the head of our Drupal practice, and I will be talking about AI and atomic content. And I thought I'd give people a preview since I work with a lot of people overseas and they won't be able to see it. Neither will you. So I hope you enjoy it. If not, you can turn off this video. So what is atomic content? Atomic content is content broken down into types and fields. That allows us to consider these content blocks as sort of Lego pieces that we can organize in any way we want to at the digital presentation layer to make some magic for folks. And if we consider AI to be that middle layer where we can actually combine a lot of the newer technologies with a lot of things that a lot of people are doing already with the digital experience platforms that are out there, we can really think about AI as unlocking a lot of potential. And there's one use case that we built out for this presentation I'd like to talk to you about today, specifically because it deals with one of the biggest problems that companies big and small deal with, which is how to have better customer service. And customer service is $1 trillion industry. Businesses spend about $1.3 trillion. And with that money, they field 265 billion individual customer service calls each year. It's estimated that AI could potentially save companies up to $510 million. So that's money that could go back into the enterprise for different things if invested properly. So our primary goal for our project was to create a source article for a knowledge repository quickly and accurately using AI, so that it's available for customer self-service and we can achieve case deflection. At the same time, we wanted to automatically reformat and optimize knowledge information based on best practices so that the content is available for users when they need it and it's optimized for their context, meaning it's readable, findable, indexable, everything like that. This is Drupal. It's an open source environment, and I have to give all the credit to the Drupal team led by Jeremiah Davis and the developer Danny Englander, who set me up with this and helped me build out a lot of this functionality I'm going to show you today. We built out 11 different use cases for different things in digital, but the one I'm going to focus on is Call Center Quick Create, which is simply a way for knowledge article creators to create support articles at case creation so that it can immediately get out there in the knowledge repository and customers who encounter the same issue can actually read about it and not call in to support, and the company can achieve case deflection, yada, yada, yada. You get it. So there's two pieces of this. There's going to be a support case piece, which I've created down here as a content object. And then there is going to be the knowledge article creation piece that I'm going to talk through next. Both are enabled with AI in different ways, and I'm going to show you how. So let's assume my role is I'm in a call center, and I get a call from a customer who has an issue, and I've pre-populated stuff so that it doesn't take as long to fill out. So let's assume the user has an issue that when they go to a page, they get an error message. And I'm not going to fill in all the obviously, if this were a real support case, we would have automated numbering. We would have all that stuff set up. I'm not doing that here. This is a proof of concept to show concepts. Don't shoot me. So when you file a support case, according to Knowledge Center management best practices, there is a framework you follow. It's called the Issue Environment Cause Resolution Framework, and it just means the job of the case agent is to actually collect the information according to that criteria. So what issue did they encounter? Where did they encounter it? In their MacBook. when they were using Outlook, and it was in version 2.2, and it was on their laptop computer. We could also get customer name Brian Kent. That could be a pick'em field if we wanted to build this out. We could say what division they were in. Again, pick'em field. Brian is in human resources. And then we could give a cause. It was, of course, Brian's fault. We don't know what Brian did, but it is his fault. User error. And what was the resolution? Client asked to, of course, reboot computer. Because, hey, I work in a call desk. Okay, so the first thing we can do with AI is I can generate a case summary based on those bullet points. And I can bring the highlights in. I can summarize it so that it's easily available. And then I can extract out things on save that are mentioned in the case. So products, geographic region, this is configurable. It's just based on the notion that we can create, let's say, support case alpha so that we can store it in the system. Now, the knowledge information article has what they need potentially to start their knowledge work, because I'm going to switch context now, and I've got a support case and I've been assigned to write an article so that the next person in line who has this issue doesn't file a support case for it, right? So for that, I'm going to go over to my call center quick create, and now I'm going to hop roles. I'm a knowledge information content creator, meaning I write knowledge articles primarily for enterprise call centers so that when people go to a website and they try to report a support issue, we can get those issues in front of the users as solutions and they don't call support. Pretty easy, right? So to demonstrate this concept, I could use that issue resolution framework I showed you earlier in an ultimate sense that would pull in the information, but it's such a boring topic that I'm going to actually write about something more robust here to show some of the potential of what we're talking about. So I'm in a knowledge information, I'm a knowledge writer, and I need to write a knowledge article. The first thing I can do is just put in a prompt for what I'm going to write about. And let's say I want to write about how to power off your iPhone Max 13, your iPhone 13 Max. I can generate a first draft of this article. And the first thing it's going to do is summarize what I need to do. And then, because this editor is also enabled with AI, I can rewrite this based on translation requirements, reformatting against tone and voice, HTML requirements, if that's it. But because this is just basically the body of an article, I'm going to keep this and leave it intact. But let's say I want to generate an FAQ off of this. I can click a button to generate an FAQ. It's going to reach into the database and pull out a specialized prompt that I've written for FAQs. And it's going to bring this body that I'm circling here into the input for the prompt. And it's going to deliver out an FAQ output because I've programmed the application to fetch the action of seeking that output when I click the button of the prompt. Now I can do the same thing with the step-by-step guide. And as it generates this, I want to remind you that call-centered case deflection relies on content quality, but also content type, because some content types serve the users better. FAQs, for example, walkthrough guides, step-by-step. All these things could be done at the content reformatting level easily with AI because the information we're using is largely public in the models already, and it's information that the product owners likely want available to the customers. This isn't proprietary. Apple wants you to know how to shut off your phone, and so does the energy grid. So Now I can generate a call article summary. I could generate a call center script based on all of this that the call center could call and talk to the person with. And then just like that support article case, I can extract out keywords, user intent, related products, and I can indicate if there's AI collateral in this so that when I go to save this article, it can store all of that. And then when it stores it, it can kick off another workflow in order to make that article accessible for certain audiences, which is what I'm going to show you next. Takes a little bit on this, takes a beat. So as I do this, I'm going to go over now and I'm going to, you can see here, I have a full story. It says indicates the AI asset. It's got all those things that I need to resolve the case, and I've extracted out the information of the user intent stuff that I indicated was possible. At the top, if I go back into edit mode, I have an audio tab. And this is where on save, you could see it doing the little saving motions. It's actually extracted out a teaser text that now I can use for audio creation for accessibility standards. So if I wanted to come in here and generate audio,
to power off your iPhone 13 Max, press and hold the side button and a volume button to see the slider, then drag it to the right. Wait for the device to turn off completely. For Face ID models, you can also go to Settings General, shut down, and slide to power off.
So in one content block, we've been able to generate out, 7 or 8 different ways to help the clients achieve case deflection. And then we were able to take the fields and then summarize them and input them into a field so that we could do something with that field, namely make it into audio. And this is the atomic content piece. Because when we talk about the building blocks of how we put it together, it's all based on the notion of atomic content. And I'm going to go back to my support case alpha, and I'm going to open this up, and you can see a lot of the AI stuff we talked about, the issue, the environment, the resolution, the products mentioned, the geographic extraction, all of that stuff is because we initially put everything in a field-based experience so that all these fields could be tied together and we could present a logical story to the people who have to solve it. And that's sort of the key to make sure that when we use AI and atomic content, we're thinking strategically about the Lego pieces so that we know how we're building them together. And at the back end of the support case, let's just dig into the weeds that we're going to in the development conference today. Everything we set up at first was atomic content fields. So we set up a case summary. We set up a case summary body so that it could be the place where the payload was delivered once the prompt did its thing. We set up fields for the issue, environment, cause, resolution framework, and then we set up the other fields so that we could take out the information on save that we needed to and deliver that data to somewhere. When it came to organizing all of the fields in the form display builder, there were modules that we enabled, AI augmenter and AI interpolator, that did different things on the back end. The augmenter was basically the prompt engineering workspace where we could go through based on our use cases, and for each action that the user was going to take, create custom prompts that would match the prompt to the button. So if we want to do product research, if we want to optimize for readability, if we want to achieve readability scores, if we want to do persona development, the sky is literally the limit as long as we can isolate the information that we need in a field so that we can put those fields together at the page level and make the logic right. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So if I go into my call center, quick create, and I manage my display, I have in here the buttons that are the augmenter. And when I click the settings key, this is the logic that this augmenter pulls from. So for the first part of the case creation or article creation process, we're pulling our logic from the title field, which is what I used as the prompt. And we're delivering out the output to the body field. It is pulling in this augmenter, which I'll show you in a minute what that prompt looks like. And then I can set the conditions that happen at that output level. The action is going to append whatever's in the body, or I could possibly replace it. Append is the default, so I leave it in there. But if you wanted to do chained reprompting and leave an output in one field and just deliver everything to it, you could just add everything to it. Then you can give your button a name, first draft. You can click update, and it's going to actually allow you to do what you want to at the page level. And all of the content types that we programmed here against these different use cases are pretty much the same. But if you look at the body article and we wanted to look at what this prompt is for this first draft, I could go to my augmenter now. I'm going to have to get out of my browser here, go into augmenter, and I could see here's my basic article first draft prompt. When I click edit, this is a cheap GPT-like interface where you can send system commands to the computer to say what context you want that experience to have before you get an output. So up here I say you're a writer of knowledge information for a busy call center. You write content at an 8th grade level, which is what call center material probably should be written at to be readable by most folks. You're an exceptional writer who understands what important information needs to be conveyed in a call center support article. In answering the question, think step by step about what information the user would need to understand and solve the issue. That is what gets sent to the system to make the system understand what the user wants. Then we have a user prompt given that says, write a basic support article advising the user how to perform the most basic functions based on input. And this is the payload of the title field, because that is what I've asked for. Format the results in the style of a support article with an emphasis on readability. Think step by step and check your results for accuracy. So when I did that, back at this content, if I were to go back into the content view and look again here, it generated out this output. And if I wanted this to be displayed on a website and make it standard HTML, I have the inline controls to be able to do that. And if you notice this flyout bar over to the right that I typically don't use very much but could, it allows me to do different things with the fields if I wanted to summarize them, if I wanted to adjust the content tone and voice, I could, based on the specific field that I wanted to work on. So let's say I wanted to rewrite my call center script to be explain like I'm a 5-year-old. I could say call center script adjust tone, and it's going to generate over here in the right an adjustment to that and I could use this in there if I wanted to, or I could create another call center script for 5-year-olds that I could use in my attempt to reach call deflection as well. So that's the call center use case. The only other one I was really going to cover off on, because I think it's cool and I think there's a lot of potential here for almost every company or organization that needs to do some level of sentiment analysis, is just the ability of AI to summarize information and then extract out and classify and categorize the information in it so that we can glean out insights from it. Otherwise, it's just unstructured data. So for that use case, we built out a little quick create to allow us to take a review source, pull out a social media review, do some light sentiment analysis, determine who a targeted persona might be because of who that person was, and then create a persona description based on them, and then some social media posts. It's just the idea of using chained AI to say, once we get some information, we can summarize it, then we can use that summarization to create an action plan to make the content more appealing for the user and personalize against their experience in 100 different ways. So this can be the springboard. So I'm just going to go over to House, and I'm going to pick a review. Let's go look up. Let's look up Windows. And we're just going to find, I've never even heard of this person before, never heard of this vendor before. And they have no reviews. That's helpful. Okay, so let's go in. All right, let's say I have this. I like NanoWall. Let's say I have this review. I have the ability to API, bring it in, but I'm just going to paste it in. I'm going to analyze this review. And when I analyze it, it's going to extract out all the information I want, and it's going to say what names and locations are here. This is over here in the augmenter as reviews sentiment analysis. And this allows us to set criteria that we're going to extract out in our sentiment. So the prompt is, you're going to be presented with user reviews, and your job is to provide a set of tags from the following list. Provide your answer in bullet point form using properly formatted HTML in your response. Choose only from the tags listed here. Positive or negative, but not both. So the computer has to make a choice. This is configurable against any use case, but for manufacturers, this is a pretty good list. And then we can say, after you finish your output, extract out a list of names listed in the review. Focus on referral information. Focus on the roles that you want extracted. Extract out all of the locations or offices mentioned in post. I mean, we can customize this how we want, but the entire point is to generate out as many summarization bullet points so that we can do what's next. So I've actually generated that. I know that if I read this review, this is let's say a residential architect of a residential building. I can create a persona description based on that for marketing. And this goes out and pulls in a special prompt for persona description. Takes a bit. It's going to format it in an unstructured table so that I can show you how we can structure unstructured data pretty easily using AI. So here, I'm going to highlight this. And I'm going to correct it. And you can see at the bottom, it's going to be doing its thing. Because we were able to extract out data points from the review, we can now create a social media plan based on those data points to put into the system. And as it's still generating out the HTML, because this is a big payload, but you can see it did its thing. Now this is properly formatted. I didn't have to do a thing with the structured text or the source editor to get it looking this way. And now I can generate a social post based on this persona. Now, in the back of this system, we've got different prompts doing different things. So persona development here has its own logic. We're extracting out demographic data, challenges, communication preferences, brand perceptions, all of this. Still a prompt. I'm still controlling the logic of the computer through my language, but what the system is allowing me to do is match those prompts with actions that are tied here to triggers, and when the user clicks the button, it triggers the prompt to pull in the payload, and the rest is the magic that you see. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to learn more about this, we'll be talking this afternoon at 3 o'clock down at DrupalCon about this. And then if you're really intrigued with the concept of AI, we can talk about what it means to have a governance and governance model behind all of this tomorrow when I talk about, at a session called Damn Straight, why centralized data and content management is critical in the AI age. Hope to see you there. Hope this was helpful.